Hello and welcome to Women Drone Responders Interview Series. My name is Amy T. Wiegand, and I'm excited to talk with our guest today. I know you will be too. Before we get to that, I'd like to say thank you to AX Enterprise. AX Enterprise is our first sponsor of the Women Drone Responders Interview Series and sponsored our reception at National Conference a few weeks back. Thank you so much, AX Enterprise. AX is a software and hardware engineering leader in UAS, UTM, and AAM development and exceptional people there. They also run the New York UAS test site and are NTAP service providers. Check out AX Enterprise at axenterprise.com. And without further ado, please help me welcome Tiara Brown with FIFA World Cup. Tiara, welcome. So happy to see you here today. And I'm so impressed by your background and can't wait to hear more about it. You were not only a combat veteran, you're a lawyer, you work for FIFA World Cup as airspace specialist, and you're founder and innovator. Please tell us more about you and your background.
Well, thank you, Amy, for having me here today. And the national conference, again, was amazing. Thanks for having me there, too. Yes, but I am former, well, let me just correct the attorney piece. We're waiting on the bar results. So Once we find out the bar exam results, then from there, we'll know if we can be an attorney. Thank you so much. Yeah. But yes, I'm former Army Apache helicopter pilot and officer. Was with the Army for 10 years and spent all 10 years immersing myself in aviation completely. From rappelling from helicopters and jumping out of planes and learning how to fly 3 different helicopters, which I don't even think they do now, up until the Apache helicopter. And then from there, took a few risks and ended up jumping into drones, and it turned into FIFA.
And turned into FIFA.
It ended up turning into, fast forward 10 years, 12 years, and it turned into FIFA. I was an intern at FIFA, started off as that, and they handed me a project. Somebody said, hey, does anybody know anything about drones? I'm like, I'll give it a shot. I mean, I've never done anything on the civilian side, only in Iraq, Syria, and then, of course, in the US. But I took the project, and that part-time internship turned into a whole department now of the airspace operations team at FIFA. And we're actually getting ready to hire our 3rd and 4th coordinators in the department. So,
wow.
Yes.
So you said a key word, especially to STEM and as it relates to our efforts here, internship. Talk to me about how you got into that internship. What did you do? Were you looking online? How did you find it? What happened?
Well, first, I had to get over the stigma of internship equaling, no real opportunities. It's free volunteer work. Normally, people associate the word intern with that. But I learned very quickly after getting out of the Army in 2021, even though I went straight into school, I learned very quickly that in the entertainment, sports, and even now aviation world, you have to be willing to take an internship. You have to be willing to be an apprentice. You have to show that you're willing to learn and receive and be a forever learner, rather. And so with that, as soon as I graduated, I applied to more than 121. Not that I'm counting, more than 121 jobs, full-time, part-time, assistants. And I'm talking about, I graduated from a top 3 Northwestern University with a JD MBA. And I'm applying to assistant positions just to get these opportunities. And the FIFA internship popped up from a mentor of mine. She's actually the director of brand protection for the legal department at FIFA for all of the World Cup. Tiffany Shepard is her name. It's crazy. I met her through shooting my shot on LinkedIn like 4 or 5 years ago, and she introduced me to the whole world of sports and entertainment. But nevertheless, she had just started working for FIFA, and they were running their 2nd cohort ever of interns, and because they needed help. It's the first time that FIFA has done the entire tournament on their own. They haven't hired a consulting company or anything. They're running it entirely on their own, and that's why they moved out to Miami. So she said, hey, if you're willing to take a risk, it's really mainly just local students applying to this internship, but it's part-time, $17 an hour, and it's only 3 months. I know you're all the way out in Chicago, but if you want to take a risk, come on out. So I did.
Wow.
I signed a 12-month lease and ended up, like I said, that story, that taking a project from intern to now department, it's been an amazing journey. I'm thankful for Tiffany and the whole team.
It sounds like it. Well, I know aviators are risk takers innately, but you're rooted in some really great skills there. Networking, and leveraging your networks, which is super important to talking to young women and men about how to get in. You know, sometimes it's who you know, and it sounds like you did a really good job of securing a nice network from the start. But with your credentials, that doesn't surprise me. And I do want to get into how you helped build the organization within FIFA. But first, let's start with, how did you become a drone pilot?
Yeah, no, for sure. So actually, again, started off on the manned side of things in the helicopters. And I did something that none of my peers wanted to do. I took a role right when I learned how to fly the Apache helicopter. I was given an opportunity to join a drone unit while I was in the Army. And that's something that you just don't do. You just learn to fly. You're flying one of the most badass helicopters, and now you want to go fly drones. Because as everyone knows in aviation, it's repetition. You want to keep having reps at whatever it is that you're doing in aviation, so that not so that you become complacent and too comfortable, but so that when there is an emergency, you know, the norm is regular for you. You know, you're robotic in that aspect, and so you can react to things. So nevertheless, I took advantage of an opportunity to go and be a platoon leader in a Gray Eagle drone unit. And that was another example of me following a great leader. His name was Chris Stoyanov, and he was my Apache helicopter commander who was going to deploy with a drone unit out to Iraq. And he was looking for platoon leaders. And he said, if you want to deploy, Tiara, you want to go to Iraq, I had this opportunity. And he had it for one other person. So there were two of us total. And took advantage of it. And turns out that we were allowed to, as Apache pilots, you can also be a payload operator. So I got an opportunity to see and learn and be in the box with these fine young men and women who were employing these devices and weapons overseas. And the qualifications to even just be a payload operator, like alone, much respect to all of the drone pilots and planners for that. But 2016, in preparation for going to Iraq, was my first introduction to drones and all that there is and can be with them. And it's opened up a whole world for me.
Wow, I can imagine. So do you want to tell us a little bit more about that experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, again, like I said, my boss was an Apache helicopter pilot, right? And then I'm a helicopter pilot. And then you've got 150 drone pilots and drone leaders who've been doing this thing for so long. And I'm looking at this Gray Eagle drone like it's a sci-fi experiment. I'm just in awe of just how amazing these drones are and their capabilities. But learning alongside experts, it helped me to have, I already had respect for aviation, already had respect for the airspace and anyone involved in aviation, because it does take another level of maturity for us to be in any part of the field. Even if you've never flown an aircraft, if you're involved in aviation, guaranteed you've got a higher level of maturity than most, right?
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, no. So so working alongside those experts, again, it gave me a greater respect for the airspace, and that's what has me excited to be on the civilian side, to help the world see that these aren't just toys in the air. There are manned and unmanned folks in the air now, and there's a level of respect that comes and needs to come with things being lifted off the ground now.
Yes. Well, you had significant exposure to what I call the big leagues in drones. So let's talk about how that segues into your current role and the skills that you've obtained with the military. How do you apply those to what you do today? And tell us a little bit more about what you do today as it relates to being a drone pilot.
Absolutely. So I think, well, I know the problem solving and the critical thinking aspect of things. If I learned nothing else from what I've seen the drones alone can do on the military side, I figured, oh, well, there's no way there's limits to what the civilian side has going on. And it turns out fire departments are using it to save lives before firefighters go in to buildings and floors fall through. I saw an experiment from FIU where they had a construction drone that like basically flew up a wall and surveyed for the gentleman instead of him having to scale a 1,000-foot building. And so we're saving lives with drones in all the ways, even on the civilian side of the house. And so the problem solving and critical thinking and being able and willing to think outside of the box was absolutely necessary in coming onto the civilian side for sports and entertainment in particular, because you're planning the world's largest event right now with people who have a history of planning large events, the Olympics. There are people who have been leading and planning Olympic games since before I was born. We're working alongside those folks at FIFA, and it's amazing, but their thoughts on drones and aviation might be a little antiquated. And so that's where it's been great to come in and kind of provide a refreshing view. And they know that because of my legal background and because of my military background, I'm not just going to come in and say, oh yeah, have the drone deliver a cup of yogurt onto the middle of the pitch, and then he's also holding a soccer ball below it. And this is something that has come to me, holding a soccer ball below it, and it drops it over the field, over the crowd, and flies away. And no, I'm not that one, but I am the one that's going to, approach innovation in a safe and secure way, and remain open-minded especially with the laws changing the way that they are. So I guess to answer your question, the critical thinking and the problem solving aspect of it, while being open-minded and not as rigid as one would think a military person would be, has truly, it's translated into trillions, 10x.
Sure, absolutely. I agree 100%, and used to soapbox the same mantra when I ran a flight school in Virginia. And I just love that you said that critical thinking, super important, and aviation does just that. It teaches you to be on your feet. Yeah, I thought we talked about that already, but we can.
No. I'm getting to know you just like you're getting to know me. This is awesome. It's cool.
Good. Yeah, we'll go talk aviation soon, I hope. I love that. So talk to us a little bit more in the weeds, in detail, about the aviation security specialist role, and beyond critical thinking and problem solving skills. What is a day-to-day like for you?
So it's funny. I created the job with the head of security, GB Jones, a great man. He has a FBI background, and NFL is where he comes from. And he started a drone program while he was over there, but didn't really have the time to watch it completely come to fruition. So fast forward, it turns out the intern project that I received with drones, the end user on the other side of that project was GB. So when it was time to present my findings and what I thought and what we should do, it was presenting it to him. And he and we just immediately connected on just this mission and knowing how important it is for safety and security to be considered in the midst of innovation, while, still allowing people to do fun stuff, drone shows and things like that. So what was the question?
It was your role. Tell us in detail about your role as the aviation security specialist, without giving away any secrets, right?
Yeah, no, I see that. No, there are no secrets, and that's the best part about aviation. And why I'm hoping that so many more great young minds get into the field, because it seems aviation, if you're outside of aviation, it seems like such a far-fetched idea to even be involved in a field, but if it's very easy once you start actually thinking through things logically. And so from the internship project of teams just wanted to bring drones into their training sites. As we know, with the World Cup, the teams are, oh my God, they're catered to. They get brought into the cities and they have their own training sites. And then those are in addition to the actual venues at the big stadiums, and those stadiums themselves are big, but those are also open to the public. And those are also within the national airspace, right? And that's not just in the United States, that's also in Canada and Mexico. And so this small question of, can the teams fly their drones? The US team alone flies about 2, 3, maybe 4 drones during their practices. It's more than one, though, that's for sure, and public knowledge. And so that this little problem or question of, can the teams fly, turns into, oh, wait, okay, these are other countries. Okay, does that certificate work here in America? Will that same certificate work in Mexico? Will Mexico allow anyone other than Mexican citizens to fly, which normally they don't? And so saying all that to say, if your brain works the way that mine does, you're already thinking, oh, wow, okay, that's diplomacy. That's a diplomacy mission. That's government. We're talking legislation. We're talking dealing with the airspace stakeholders that don't even know their airspace stakeholders, and then security personnel and planners who are in charge of all of it, who have to understand that as they plan it, right? So my daily day-to-day has been, since that project, has been finding the parts of FIFA that involve aviation and airspace. If a stadium wants to do a military flyover, great, that's amazing. But I don't know that shooting off the fireworks and there being smoke all over, and also the weather's bad and you're still planning on a military flyover and it being in sync with the time without a rehearsal, that's probably not going to work. So I come to the table and kind of just bring logic to any aviation desire and take it from ideation to execution. And that ends up being talks with the Department of Homeland Security, the local and state police, all forces that are involved in the airspace, and making sure that everyone's comfortable with what FIFA wants to do with drones, and now what the teams want to do with drones, and any broadcast element that now wants to also do those things with drones. We help to facilitate and make sure that that happens. And I do that alongside my senior manager, Talwin Haley. He comes from 40 years of FAA experience. So his relationships and my ambition and knowledge in the security and legal side of things, man, we make a great team. But we're looking forward to hiring those two other folks. So
good. Yeah, good. We'll plug that again at the end. Let's not forget. No, this is good information. So the security part of your title makes me think risk mitigation. And I sit in North Carolina, and we're lifting a North Carolina chapter of drone responders. And we've had some agencies ask some questions. We're going to be hosting a team here for practice. How is FIFA involved in helping mitigate risk and keeping our cities secure? Or are you? Is that something else? Talk to us more about your relationship with safety.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing that sent off a red flag to me was a team wants to fly drones in your city. And I'm immediately thinking, okay, why haven't they talked to me first? So how is FIFA dealing with it? Anytime that the airspace operations team is so integrated across FIFA that if anyone says drones, aviation, airspace, air, even, they just include us on an email or they include us in a conversation, and then we embed ourselves completely into that. So how are we helping to keep the skies and even the ground safe, really, is by vetting all the folks that want to fly, letting people know that we are your first stop for anything aviation or airspace related, if it's near a FIFA venue or activity. And that's even the cities that want to do their own drone shows. They've been kind enough to come to us, and we help them actually to facilitate the getting into the airspace, because there's so much going on this summer. You've got 250th anniversary of the nation, right? And the airspace is going to be so busy all over the country. And there are people coming from all over the world to participate for the air piece of that alone. So how are we? So again, they're coming to us, and we're vetting those folks. We're making sure that there's a flight schedule. We know who's in the air. And if we don't know who's in the air, it makes it easier for the state and local and federal folks to be able to identify who those folks are. Are they adversaries? Is it a security issue, or is it just the careless and clueless sort of thing? So
okay, good. Okay. How do you use communications during flights to maintain deconfliction with other teams during events?
So the pre-coordination, if everything goes the way that it's supposed to, which I'm hoping that it does. The Club World Cup went really well. I'm thinking that the World Cup will go just as smooth with all of the pre-coordination that we're doing, and all the communication, talking beforehand. If everything goes smooth, I won't have to pick up too many phone calls once the tournament actually starts, because the people who are on the ground, I'm going to be in Miami, in the AC, not at the stadium, but I'll be in Miami. But there are 600 some odd sites that I'm managing the airspace for, that I'm providing flight schedules for, vetting the teams and organizations that want to fly things there. And I need to be able to, at any point, tell the senior managers, FBI, Secret Service, whoever asks, is that a FIFA aircraft? Is that a FIFA associated aircraft? Because with the laws and everything, the way that they are, and the equipment and technology and things, whether, I love that our country, and all three countries, really, Canada, Mexico, and the US, we're taking the airspace threat seriously, and if it's not supposed to be there, it's not going to be there.
Right. Yeah, good. Good. I'm glad you're taking it seriously. I think a lot of us are. Thank you so much. Well, let's move on. If you want to, we can continue to talk about FIFA and the World Cup. And maybe this actually relates to my next question. Are there any special incidents or other situations that you've flown that you'd like to share and talk about with our audience today?
I guess I do have a fun experience that I've had since I've been at FIFA. It's been a lot of fun. I mentioned the diplomacy mission at FIFA. I call it everything a mission. But I mentioned just the engagement, the level of engagement with the state, local authorities, city planners, people who know aviation, even people who don't. And a part of that ends up being speaking at conferences and panels and being invited to workshops and seminars. And even back to your previous point, a lot of these workshops and seminars, they probably they wouldn't happen in the way that they were unless, FIFA and the organizations and even the state and locals were so willing to come together and actually have these talks and have these trainings and doing those things and traveling and doing those things. Wait, what was the question?
Just any situations or incidents.
Traveling and doing those things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So traveling and getting to do those things with these organizations, I've got to fly some cool drones, and I've got to see some really cool equipment and some really swoopy things that are just like I didn't even know that the civilian side had. And so that part's been really cool. The most fun experience I've had though was my first FPV flight. I was able to, I think my LinkedIn photo right now is a picture of that day because I'll never forget it. My back's against the wall and I'm like, oh yeah, I could do this. I'll be fine. I think I crashed the drone maybe twice, but it was a great experience because I got to plug in and actually these are police officers and fire department folks who are doing this for real missions. They're flying through buses. They're like, and so I got to fly the course of their underground. They had a really nice course set up where I went, and it was an amazing experience, and again increased my level of respect for all of the folks who are continuing to train and perfect their craft so that we can get out here and do these drone missions safely.
Yeah, FPV is a real deal. Mad respect here as well, my friend. Mad respect. So good for you. And I have seen your LinkedIn profile. I love that picture. That's really cool. Good. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Well, what have been your biggest challenges as you've integrated into the civilian world of drones?
The biggest challenge is learning the laws and learning the laws, rules, and constraints. I guess if I were to sum it up, my left and right limits, learning my left and right limits now as not being a company commander anymore. I'm not the director of the Apache schoolhouse anymore. I'm not doing any of these things anymore. And so what level of authority do I come to the table with? And that's from a FIFA standpoint, even, from a woman in aviation standpoint. And that always leads me back to in aviation, you have to have the desire and the confidence to speak up, stand up, and it could save your life and it could save the lives of those around you, right? And so I just kind of brought that philosophy throughout everything aviation. The question one more time. Damn, I keep.
No, your biggest challenges. It sounds like the transition from military to civilian was one of them. Yeah.
So the transition from military to civilian definitely one of the challenges because of the again coming to the table and having the authority to say, okay, that person knows what they're talking about. You look at their chest and the things that they're qualified to do, their rank, the schools they've been to. Oh, that's an aviator. Oh, so we already know. I come to the table and they don't know what I've done or where I've been or that I even know what a drone even does. For several reasons, not just because I'm a woman, or anything, or the uniform. But the challenge though has been being able to kind of overcome that imposter syndrome and be okay with not being in the uniform, but I've got the skills, I've got the knowledge, I do have the experience, and I don't have to come to the table with a sticker on my forehead saying that that's what I do. I can naturally insert myself into conversations and into issues that I have solutions to. And man, it's been an amazing journey following that mantra.
Right. I love it. I bet you have some talks with the mirror in the morning like me.
Yep,
I
yep.
got
Where's my
this.
phone?
Yeah, right. I know. So many of us do, men and women alike. It's such a real feeling, especially when you're transitioning military to civilian. So thank you for your service, and thank you for coming to the other side and helping create that education and awareness. Super important. So talk to us then about your successes. You mentioned, being a problem solver, on your toes, critical thinking. Those are super important. Can you expand a little bit more on how to be successful in this particular field?
Absolutely. I think being able to, I want to say visionary. Visionary is the word that comes to mind, but just being able to think forward, think ahead of
Mhm.
what could happen.
Mhm.
You know, no one wants their last flight to be their last flight, and that's what we
Mhm.
say on the manned side of the house.
Mhm.
But I think that sort of mentality is kind of transferring into the unmanned side, which I like to see. I think though that you just between, if you're going to performance plan and you're planning for a flight anyway, then you should also plan for
Mhm.
what could go wrong.
Yeah.
And that's for events. That's for even just a rehearsal, for the rehearsal for the event. We're
Mhm.
thinking about the fact that, okay, well, if we're putting a broadcast drone in the air, or you're putting that drone in the air to take a quick shot of what you want the shot to look like tomorrow as a broadcaster. But are we thinking about the fact that the fire department's using drones to respond to emergencies? The police department has a helicopter in the sky at the same level as your broadcast drone, and they're on their
Mhm.
way to, they're chasing, I don't know, a kidnapping or
Mhm.
whatever. But now
Yeah.
more and more with these cities implementing aviation into the emergency preparedness, I love it, and I have a great respect for it.
Good. Good. No, that's great. Good stuff. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Last question here, and we'll start wrapping up our time together. I don't want to let you go though, so we definitely have to connect offline.
Oh,
But
we will.
if other girls and women are watching, what would you tell them about your experience and the opportunities available? What would be your guiding advice and parting advice for today?
It would be to seek community, and community is what you define it to be. You can be a super introvert and you never want to go to any happy hours, but that doesn't mean you don't want to be invited to the happy hours. That doesn't mean you shouldn't be aware that the happy hours are happening. There are
Sure.
far too many groups and things, organizations. I was on a call last night with Tuskegee Next. They're an organization that they send hundreds of young Black students to flight school, from high school to college, and they're sending them to airlines to go work for airlines, and this is expensive training,
Mhm.
usually that these folks are going to. But if you don't seek community and you don't know that these organizations exist, then there's a barrier. There's already
Mhm.
an immediate barrier to entry into
Mhm.
this field. And I think that by seeking community, you
Mhm.
increase your knowledge, you increase your awareness of just what's available. Even last night, I learned about 3 or 4 organizations for women that, my God, when I first entered aviation in 2013, on the man side of the house, I wish that there was this much community. I wish that there was another woman to talk to, or another
Sure.
Black person to talk to that was,
Mhm.
just right there
Right.
immediately. But now the internet allows all of that. So my parting advice would be seek that community, and just take advantage of it. It doesn't have to be in person. It could all be online, but you'll want that in your pocket when you need it.
Right. Well, I think that's perfect advice, especially given that you leveraged your networks to gain the internship with FIFA. And now you're in a senior role and you're building and innovating a complete department for something that is new to everyone. And congratulations on that. It's a big
Mhm.
feat, and we really appreciate you and your time today. How can folks get in touch with you once this interview ends?
I'm on LinkedIn and I'm pretty responsive.
Okay.
I'm very responsive on there. I think I even have my phone number on there. So if you go
Yeah.
on my LinkedIn, you'll easily get in touch with me. And I'm looking
Wonderful.
forward to tapping in with anyone.
Good. Well, thank you. Thank you again for joining Women Drone Responders Interview Series today with us. And if you want to drone or join, let me rephrase that, join Women Drone Responders, don't hesitate to log on to droneresponders.org. Click on group from the main nav tabs and go to Women Drone Responders page. You can go down to midsection. There's a discussion group there. You can also fill out a form on the main page there, and that comes directly to me. You get your email address and we'll sign you up for future correspondence. So join that now, droneresponders.org. Group Women Drone Responders. Also, really pleased to announce that our national conference, referred to as NACON, was a few weeks back in Williamsburg, Virginia. And once again, it was a sold-out success. Exhibitors and sponsors, thank you again for your support. And attendees, a great show. Once again, we look forward to sharing more information on our social channels, as well as the website and the blog continue to look for the successful stories of NACON. And then last but not least, contact me if you're interested in being interviewed for the Women Drone Responders Interview Series, or if you're interested in being a sponsor. Would love to talk to you about how that supports scholarships, STEM initiatives, and so much more to help us continue to create awareness and education for public safety agencies and industries in the UAS space. And again, last but not least, thank you, AX Enterprise, for sponsoring our reception at NACON and also these next 3 Women Drone Responders Interview Series podcasts. We really appreciate it. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Amy.
Thank you.